You know how often we see those insanely cheap 100-inch LED panels on sale, only to end up with a glass-like picture that looks washed out in a bright living room and a laggy response when you finally tried a game? I've watched a lot of people regret those impulse buys, and the disappointment usually stems from a mismatch between what the spec sheet promises and what the TV actually delivers in daily use. That's why I wanted to spend some time digging into the TCL 98-inch QM8K, a 2025 model that bills itself as a mini LED QLED with a 120 to 144 Hz refresh rate, Dolby Atmos sound, and built-in Google TV. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The first question I asked myself was, does a nearly 100-inch screen like this even make sense for a typical home setup? If you have a dedicated media room or a vaulted living room with a viewing distance of 8 feet or more, the sheer size can be a game changer, turning movies into a near-theatrical experience without the need for a projector. But if your couch sits just 3 or 4 feet away, you'll start seeing pixelation despite the 4K resolution, and the immersive effect quickly turns into eye strain. That's the core of the buyer hesitation. It's not just about having a big TV, it's about having the right room. I started with the picture quality because that's where the mini LED claim should shine. TCL's QD Mini LED architecture, paired with the CRYSTGLOW WHVA panel, promises deeper blacks and brighter highlights than a standard LED. In practice, the contrast feels genuinely impressive. Dark scenes in a thriller hold true black levels, and the bloom around bright objects is impressively contained, which is something you rarely get in this price segment. The 120144 Hz panel also means motion handling is solid. Fast action in sports or a fighting game stays smooth without the typical smearing you see on 60 Hz panels. The Game Accelerator 288 adds a low-latency mode that drops input lag down to about 12 milliseconds, which is close to console-grade performance. If you're a gamer who spends a few hours a week on a PS5 or Xbox Series X, that low latency will be noticeable and could be the deciding factor between a decent gaming night and a frustrating one. Sound is another area where many big-screen TVs stumble, but the QM8K comes with Dolby Atmos and a backlit premium voice remote that doubles as a mini-sub. In a typical living room, the built-in speakers fill the room with a surprisingly rich soundstage for a TV that size. Dialogue is clear, and the high-channel effects in Atmos-enabled movies create a sense of space that makes you feel the rain is actually falling around you. It won't replace a dedicated soundbar or a home theater system, but it does a respectable job for an all-in-one package, especially if you're not ready to invest in external audio gear. The Google TV platform is where the day-to-day usability shines. The interface feels snappy, and the voice remote complete with Alexa and Google Assistant lets you fire up Netflix, ask for the weather, or control smart lights without ever touching the TV. That hands-free element is more than a novelty. It actually cuts down on the friction of swapping inputs when you have a gaming console, a streaming stick, and a Blu-ray player all connected. The remote's backlight is a nice touch for low-light rooms, and the voice control works reliably from across the room for most commands. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. The first thing that caught my eye was the size of the unit itself. At almost 98 inches, the TV weighs over 200 pounds, and the stand is relatively narrow. If your furniture layout can't accommodate that footprint, you'll need a wall mount that can support the weight, which adds extra cost and complexity. Installation isn't a DIY project for most people, so you should factor in professional mounting fees. Secondly, the anti-reflective coating is decent, but it's not a full matte finish. In a bright room with large windows, you might still notice some glare during the day, which could pull you back toward curtains or blackout blinds, an extra expense you may not have anticipated. Another practical weakness is the lack of HDMI 2.1 features beyond the high refresh rate. The TV supports 4K at 120 Hz, but it doesn't have variable refresh rate (VRR) or auto low latency mode (ALLM) on all HDMI ports, limiting its future-proofing for next-gen consoles that rely on those features. If you're an early adopter who want every console-friendly capability, you'll need to verify which ports actually enable those modes before committing. The operating system also has occasional hiccups when switching between apps. You'll hear a brief pause that some users might interpret as a lag, though it's relatively minor compared to older smart TV platforms. Who should buy this? If you already have a spacious room, enjoy a mix of movies, gaming, and streaming, and want a large format TV that handles fast motion and dynamic contrast without breaking the bank, the TCL QM8K is a solid match. Its mini LED panel, high refresh rate, and built-in Dolby Atmos give you a